For me, like the big thing when I'm trying to sift through possibilities for this Leafs team is like, okay, you want this guy. So who are you giving up? Is a Minton out there? Is a
Right.
Cowan out there? Is a Danford available? You just talked about it. They have no first this year. They have no fourth this year, no second or
Yeah.
fourth next year. Like the capital isn't there prospect wise or draft pick wise. So how are you going to attain a guy like, for example, I would love to get Brock Nelson in the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's a pending UFA. I think the
Yeah.
Islanders will at least engage in that conversation, see if they can re-sign him. He'd be a really good fit on paper. I just don't know where you're giving up to get the guy,
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, if the Islanders do go that route, and I agree with you, I think Brock Nelson, he would be number one on my target list for rentals. Throw him onto that second line. One of his best offensive seasons of his career was also one of the best of John Tavares' career when they were playing together on the island. Like that would be, if I'm Brad Treliving, I'm targeting Brock Nelson hard. But if he keeps playing the way he's playing, and the guy scores 30 goals year after year, he's Mr. 30 reliable, it's a first-round pick plus. Are the Islanders willing to take a first-round pick next year? Is Toronto willing to trade a first-round pick next year and go back-to-back years without a first? And that's part of it. Like, they're not going to trade Minton. They've been very adamant about not wanting to trade Easton Cowan either. I can't imagine they would want to look at moving Danford. I think he would be more available than the other two, but it doesn't mean that they would, at least not for a rental, pull that off. But I mean, I would try to get as creative as possible. And it may have to be a scenario where you're dealing quantity and overpaying because of quantity, because you're also probably going to need the Islanders to retain on that contract. And the Isles have retention space, I think all three slots. So they could eat on it, which is not typical of what Lou Lamoriello would do, but under the circumstances, he may not have a choice later on in the season, whether it's Leafs or someone else. But like Brock Nelson, to me, if I'm Toronto, I'm keeping tabs on the Islanders and how they perform. And if he's available, I'm trying to go all in. Like I would do almost everything I can. It may be a scenario where like this was like Tanev last year. Like Tanev was number one on Tree's target list, and he lost out to Dallas, ended up winning him in free agency. Maybe that's something that we see happen with Brock, but I think that's a perfect fit for Toronto for a number of reasons. You slot him into the 2C, you get him to a player he's accustomed to have played with before in Tavares. Just the cost is going to be tricky.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Roseau. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.